Hello friends, welcome to Asana IAS. Friends, if you can believe, you may start. But if you can understand, you will achieve. We are talking about the 10 commandments for IAS exam. In fact, we already have discussed 5 commandments. In the first commandment, we have understood what to study. The second commandment was about how to study. In the third commandment, we have understood the 4 pillars of IAS preparation. In the fourth commandment, we talked about understanding the mind game of this exam. And the fifth commandment is about understanding the big picture. Now, this is the sixth commandment. What is this? Mindfulness is the master key. Very, very important commandment. Many aspirants, more than 99% of the aspirants, when they go for the exam, their mind is full. They go for the exam mindful, not mindful. What is the difference between mindful? M-I-N-D-F-U-L, mindful. But many aspirants go for the exam with mindful, F-U-L-L. Mindful means they know so much of information. Their mind is full of so many thoughts. When they read the question every time, they try to recollect the facts to answer that question. But those mindful people, they are calm, composed, relaxed. They just try to understand what is given in the question instead of recollecting all the facts that they have learned in the past. So, mindful or mindful. If you are mindful, not mindful, mindful, then clearing this exam is such an easy task. Believe in me, more than half of the questions can be answered with just basic knowledge if you are mindful. Before showing you some examples, I would like to tell you a fact about the elephant. Elephants have fabulous memories. An elephant's brain is larger than the brain of any other land animal. It can weigh up to 5 kilograms. That's why elephants have amazing memory. You just give a jackfruit to an elephant. Elephants love jackfruits. And you meet him after an year, he will remember the past and recognizes you that you have given him a jackfruit. Elephant has the biggest brain among all mammals. They remember every person who come across their lives. This is what researchers believe in. Elephants have such a great memory, and no need to tell about their strength. We all know how strong they are. Still, they have great strength and they have great memory. Still, have you heard of the story of chained elephant syndrome? If you see why elephants cannot escape from the circus, like they are all captured. Obviously, any animal or any life, they want to be independent. They need freedom. Why they live in that in that group instead of escaping? When the elephant was a baby, he was tied with a rope to a strong tree for a few days. He tries to get rid of that bondage using his maximum strength. And being a child, baby, unfortunately he cannot escape. And he remembered this throughout his life, that it is impossible to escape from this bonding. And in circus, you find many elephants freely roaming. Now they are not tied up with with a rope or anything. Still they do not escape. If they want, they can easily escape, but they won't. Why? Because a small ribbon is tied to the foot, and the elephant thinks he cannot get rid of that bondage. So he will never try to run away. The same way, some aspirants learn and remember a lot of information and facts. Still they face difficulty in clearing the exam because of their inability to understand the frequency of the paper setter, their inability of understanding the meaning of the question. They always think about the facts and they depend hugely on their memory to answer the questions. To make you understand this better, let me take this question which was asked in Civil Service Exam 2001. Which of the following pairs is not correctly matched? Option A, India's first Technicolor film, Jhansi Ki Rani. Option B, India's first 3D film, My Dear Kutti Chatan. Option C, India's first insured film, Thal. Option D, India's first actress to win the Bharat Ratna, Veena Kumari. Now when this kind of questions are asked in the exam, an aspirant or a candidate get obviously feel panic. Just anything can be asked in UPSC. Oh, what is the first Technicolor film, first 3D film? Who remember all these things? Very difficult. And all of a sudden, when you do not expect this to happen, and if it comes in the exam, that is the feeling of an aspirant or of a candidate. But you see, if you use your common sense, and because obviously you go for the exam with basic knowledge. And when we study about Bharat Ratna, if you know this basic thing, that only 5 women got Bharat Ratna till date, Mother Teresa, Indira Gandhi, Arna Asaf who is associated with Quit India movement. We talk about her in Quit India also. And from movies, also MS Subbulakshmi there, Lata Mangeshwar. In fact, Lata Mangeshwar has received this award in 2001 itself. In fact, that is the reason, when it is all given, like, of course, related to current affairs, but the way you have to look, since it is given as option D, by the time you reach to option D, you are already worried by reading option A, option B, option C. Those mindful people who are full of so many thoughts, they panic by seeing first 3 options. Oh, who remember all this? Lot of facts are required. And they say India's first Technicolor film is Jhansi Ki Rani or not. There itself they shut. And they cannot even move ahead. Oh, it is about movies. And I am not familiar of all this information. So it is a difficult question. They come to conclusion. But those who are cool, composed, calm, they just look at the options happily. When they find this Bharat Ratna, it is such a basic information. Obviously, if you do not know now, doesn't matter. You will obviously study all these basics. That's why you are not going for the exam without any preparation. With basic preparation, you understand only 5 women got Bharat Ratna. And Veena Kumari, not among them. So it is the incorrect one. What the paper setter does, actually, he takes very simple fact. He tries to hide it. He generally hide it along with some other information. Like, he knows, and that too it was in news because in 2001, Lata Mangeshwar got Bharat Ratna. Another woman, earlier there were only 4 women. The 5th woman who got Bharat Ratna in 2001 is Lata Mangeshwar, and it must have been very much in news because that is, obviously we know every year who receive Bharat Ratna and all such things. Then when he take his answer, he made already his option, his answer out of that, and just to make the question look difficult, he has added 3 more facts. It doesn't mean that you have to remember all these things. If you can understand this much of basic thing, this exam looks so simple to you. Very easy type of questions, but without understanding the purpose why such questions are being asked in the exam. Since it is asked, now you start mugging up all the information about movies, and so many facts you dump into your mind, and when you go for the exam, what is the use? That is what being mindful is. So here D is the answer, which is the incorrect one, which is not correctly matched. Similarly, let me take another question, a question asked in Civil Services 2021. Consider the following statements. First statement, the governor of the Reserve Bank of India is appointed by the central government. Certain provisions in the Constitution, of course, if you know well and good, otherwise also just read it. Certain provisions in the Constitution of India give the central government the right to issue directions to the RBI in the public interest. You see this statement, certain provisions in the Constitution of India. Such a basic thing. Forget about the economy. It's not even from Indian economy. Go to Indian polity. You all know what are constitutional bodies. Is RBI a constitutional body? No, we all know that such a basic thing. If RBI is not a constitutional bodies means about which constitution has mentioned. So if RBI is not a constitutional body, that means nothing is mentioned about RBI in the constitution. If nothing is mentioned about it in the constitution, even constitution makers, they never thought of RBI to mention it in the constitution. Means they do not even consider it at all. So why they say certain provisions of the Constitution of India give the central government the right to issue directions to the RBI? So meaningless. Maybe, I don't know how many of you are understanding. If any of you are not understanding, don't bother. It is because you might not have started the preparation yet. Otherwise, this is so basic information that we all understand what are constitutional bodies, what are non-constitutional bodies, are, made by statute or means statutory bodies, are made by an order of the executive. So this is RBI is not a constitutional body. For example, Election Commission is a constitutional body, UPSC is a constitutional body. You understand all these things, very basic things. So if it is not a constitutional body, why certain provisions in the constitution provides for anything about RBI talks? So second is wrong. Even if you know that second is wrong, you look at the options. So you can say first option A is wrong, and option B is wrong, and option D is wrong. This is the way he made the question so simple. See, it doesn't mean that the other statements are difficult. Other statements are also very simple. But also, many of you might be knowing. I'm not talking about that. But even the paper setter is not expecting you to have that much knowledge. Even if you know the basics and if you are mindful in the exam and if you know how to pick that loose statement, loose sentence out of the given, and many questions you can answer. Because his expectation from you is that much only. When such simple questions are coming repeatedly every year, year after year, and still we are considering this as a difficult exam, that means what we are doing is all just, learning. We are gathering lot of information with that, so much of knowledge we are attending the exam. So that is the meaning of being mindful while reading the questions. So here the answer is option C. Otherwise, the governor of the Reserve Bank is appointed by the central government, you all know that. And the third statement is also correct. The governor of the RBI draws his power from the RBI Act. Because RBI Act is the one, which talks about various powers of the governors, even, MPC and all, which was formed in 2016. All these things, you will come across when you go through the concept. But even without going through the concept, if you have a broad idea, still you can answer many questions. So that is what I am trying to tell you. That much simple. Actually, his expectation, his means paper setter's expectation on a candidate or from a candidate is very basic, very minimum. And we are not fulfilling that expectation, but we are learning so many things. We are very sincere. We are putting a lot of hard work. But those efforts we are putting in a wrong direction. That's why even though when aspirants study so many things, still they are, unable to clear even the prelims exam. So see the answer here. Anyway, I am not explaining the questions, and my concept here is not to give you answers, to explain, the intention of the paper setter while framing these questions. I am trying to show you that. Take another question asked in Civil Services 2022. With reference to the Indian economy, consider the following statements. First statement, if the inflation is too high, RBI is likely to buy government securities. When you read such statements, it's not to recollect anything. It's not that, you have to recollect all your memory to answer this. You have to use your own sense and understanding. Inflation is high. That means prices are going up. What you should do? You try to, what RBI can do in that case? RBI can only, reduce the money circulation. If the money supply in the economy decreases, then the purchasing capability of the people decreases. That is one way of reducing the demand or reducing or fight the inflation. Very basic thing, because on this point more than 7 to 8 times a question is being asked. Every time the question comes on this kind of concepts, and you all know that in the previous commandments also similar questions we have seen in the past years. So if the inflation is high, what RBI should do? RBI should try to reduce the money circulation in the economy. But here it is given RBI is likely to buy government securities. So this is public. From public, RBI buy the government securities. If the securities RBI buys, then in return RBI should pay them money. That means money is going into the public, going into the economy. Public means economy. So that means more money is being pumped into the economy, then inflation will further increase. It is reverse, means it is meaningless. It is quite opposite to what is required, what RBI is to do, has to do. RBI in fact instead of buying the securities should sell the securities. Hope you understand, because this is such a basic concept we all come across in monetary policy. Now you see, if it is wrong, one is wrong, option A is wrong, option C is wrong, option D is wrong. How many times question is asked on the same concept? And how we are answering this? With the help of our common sense. We interpret each and every word of the sentence, of the statement, then we decide whether it is making sense to us or it is something reverse or maybe against it. That is what you have to take the call. How can you do that? If you are cool, then you can do that. If you are worried, if you are panicked, if you are always thinking of your memorized things, how can you do this? You do not require, it looks like so many facts exist, but remember me, even if you put down on paper all the facts, if you categorize them, for example, you take history, lot of facts are there. Yes, I understand. Write down all the names of important rulers of all the kingdoms in ancient history. One fact sheet you can make out of that. Write down all the scholars and in what field they are famous, and in which court, in whose court they exist. Write down on one paper, another fact sheet. Write down all the capitals of all these empires, another fact sheet. Write down all the important places and ports in another fact sheet. Write down all the Buddhist and Jain monks and their contribution in another fact sheet. Even if you do these fact sheets, hardly 12 to 15 fact sheets you can make in ancient history. Similarly, not only history, even you take geography also, you make some fact sheets. Mostly economy, technology, and even polity on that matter. If you talk about it, that they have less facts, they have more of conceptual knowledge. So hardly you get 50 to 55 fact sheets. So overall, if you have around 450 to 500 conceptual thoughts, plus 50 to 60 fact sheets, because these fact sheets, you can revise regularly so that you can remember them also, so that you need not skip even those questions which are purely based out of fact. Then that is all what you require to clear this exam. And how much time it requires to do this? Even if you learn 2 thoughts per day, 2 thoughts, only 2 thoughts, if you can spend 15 to 20 minutes to understand one conceptual thought, 2 thoughts a day by spending half an hour to maybe 45 minutes, and if you can understand half fact sheet a day or one fact sheet in couple of days, and if you keep revising it once in every 45 days, then also this preparation will not take more than 100 days. So simple. In 100 days you can get 200 thoughts. Once you understand 200 thoughts, then your ability to, because every day you cannot learn 2 thoughts. In the beginning, if you learn 2 thoughts, after 10-15 days, your ability increases and you can increase it to 3 thoughts a day and 4 thoughts a day. Like that, within 100 days, you can complete, 450 thoughts. So, for this kind of simple exam, unnecessarily you are, taking it in a difficult way. Even, I would like to read the second statement. If the rupee is rapidly depreciating means the demand for other currency is increasing. That means people are giving up their rupees and trying to buy other currency. Then what RBI need to do? Obviously, they have to bring down their forex, foreign currency like dollars or something out of their खजाना से बाहर निकालना पड़ेगा. So RBI is likely to sell dollars in the market, so that it will be maintained, the level is maintained. So it is correct. Second statement is correct. Again, we are answering this based on our common sense only. And you see, some of you who are completely beginners may not understand, because you may not even know the meaning of the word depreciation of rupee, appreciation of rupee, because these are very basics. Once you start your preparation, you come across all these things. These are very easy things. Third, if interest rates in the USA or European Union were to fall, that is likely to induce RBI to buy dollars. See, interest rates, generally, everyone, including the governments, like, financial institutions of a government or individual investors, they always try to, get more ROI, more returns on their investments. So if the interest in USA or European Union were to fall, that means, nobody wants to save, in their economy. They want to bring their currency out of other countries. So obviously when it is available freely, then RBI kind of institutions in our country, they take it as an opportunity, and that's why, it is given that is likely to induce, not surely RBI will buy dollars. So obviously उनको भी लगेगा यार ये मौका है, अब डॉलर्स खरीद लेते हैं, and because freely available ना, because in their home countries they are giving less interest, so investors look to go for other countries like India. They look towards developing nations, or maybe some other markets. So RBI, it is likely to induce RBI to buy dollars. What's wrong in it? So it is also correct. These are very basic things, and but to understand the statement clearly, because obviously exam pressure bhi hota hai, time pressure bhi hota hai during those 2 hours. So still, if you need to understand them, you have to be calm, because he is not testing your memory. Hardly there will be 12 to 15 questions where your memory will be tested. Even those questions also, where memory is required, if you really understand the concept, automatically those facts also you will be able to retain. You need not do any specific exercise to specially retain the facts. Like, if you join a college or any office, on day one you do not know anyone. You do not know the names of any of your colleague or your classmate. For that you need not do any exercise, noting down their names on a paper, go home and start reading, mugging up. We never do that. We keep interacting with them. Once, we understand them, we make friendship with some people whose frequency matches with us. And, obviously, after a few days, we understand, we know everyone. And we also know not only their names, where they came from, and their hobbies, and many more things we automatically understand. The same is the thing you need to do with the subject. If you do friendship with the subject, automatically you understand many facts, and without you noticing it, your mind will retain those and produce necessary, whenever it is necessary. This is all what you need to do. You need not specially take care of remembering anything. Focus on understanding the concept and be mindful during the exam. So here the answer is option B. I would like to take another question, because even you take n number of questions, the same is the case. Because if I show you 2019 questions which are very easy, if I show you 2020 questions, then you say 2019 and 2020 questions are easy, 21 is difficult. When I show you 21 questions are easy, people say 21 paper was easy, 22 questions are difficult. Now if I take 22 questions also and I show how easy they are, now people say 23 is going to be difficult. So take any year, it is the same. Take this question. In India, which one of the following is responsible for maintaining price stability by controlling inflation? 2022. Already you know how silly it is. In the previous question we talked about RBI, what likely to do in case of inflation. So it is the responsibility of Reserve Bank of India to control the inflation. So even look at the options: Department of Consumer Affairs, Expenditure Management Commission, Financial Stability and Development Council, Reserve Bank of India. So simple. Though it is a fact, such a basic fact, D the answer. Very silly question. Hope you are understanding. Take this question, asked in Civil Services 2021. Which among the following steps is most likely to be taken at the time of an economic recession? Economic recession means, there is no money in the economy. There is no money. Money circulation is very less. So obviously RBI should do something, or government should do something. RBI will do with the help of monetary policy. Government try to do something with the help of fiscal policy. What it means to do, it has to pump some money into the economy. When it is less in the economy, it has to add money circulation. add money to the economy. If it is more and inflation is going, high, then, it has to withdraw some money from the economy. This is the basic thing. And you won't believe, more than 10 questions were asked on the same concept. Now, you look at the options and you decide yourself which action of the government or which action of the RBI, I don't know whether he talks with respect to the government or with respect to the RBI, whatever it is, which action will pump money into the economy, that is going to be correct, right? Now you see, cutting tax rates accompanied by increase in interest rate. Cutting tax rate is okay, because if tax rates are cut, obviously people feel relaxed. But at the same time, it is accompanied by increase in interest rate. Increase in interest rate means loans easily milna chahiye us time pe, at the time of recession. Means, interest rate should decrease so that, money circulation will be better. So it is wrong because of increase in interest rate. B देखे, increase in expenditure on public projects. Public projects पे expenditure increase करे. You may think public projects पे increase करेगा तो क्या फायदा है? You see, it doesn't matter. Once money go from RBI or government, out of that means, it is coming into public. Like, how, you may ask. Like, if it is spending on public projects, that means, more employment is being generated. Ultimately, it is spending. Again, it comes into the economy. That means, RBI holds that money. Once it is coming out of it, that means, it is coming into the economy or public. That means, recession time it is a good thing. Making sense. Even we will see the other options. See, increase in tax rates. Cut in tax rates sahi tha option A mein. Now increase in tax rates reverse ho gaya. So C galat hai. Reduction of interest rate is okay, but increase in tax rates is not okay. Agar cut in tax rate and reduction of interest rate diya hoga to best hai. But ye to diya nahi. So C is also wrong. D dekhiye, reduction of expenditure on public projects. ये तो B का opposite हो गया. So B सही होगा तो D सही नहीं हो सकता. How silly it is again. But who is answering this question? You have to answer. It's not that you will find the same statements in any book. Once you understand the concept, what is the step to be done? If it is a recession, money should be pumped in. Somehow money should come out of RBI. Money should come from the government out of government. That is what, if you can understand, you can decide yourself by reading the options in which of these options that is going to happen. Here, option B se ho raha hai. That's why that is the answer. How silly it is. And who can answer all these questions accurately and in the given time? Those who are mindful. Take one more question asked in Civil Services 2021. Consider the following statements. Other things remaining unchanged, market demand for a good might increase if. See, it's not, when you read this question, it's not that you have to recollect, because whatever is given here, 1, 2, 3, 4, these are not taken from any book. You must understand this. You have to read them and you need to decide in what case demand may increase, because he is asking a good might increase, not exactly whether it really increases or not, that is secondary. Increase होने का chance कहाँ पे है? At least if you understand कब एक good का demand increase होता है. There are many ways. Out of them, what are given here? Let us see. First thing, price of its substitute increases. See, if you are very cool and try to understand exactly what is given. For example, there are two goods, A and B. And these two are substitutes to each other. For example, the price of B, which is a substitute of A, increases. Then obviously people who want to buy B, they look for A alternative, because it is also substitute. Hope you understand. इससे भी काम चल जाता है and इसका B का price बढ़ गया तो obviously they look for alternative. So more people try to buy A, then the price of good A increases. Making sense? This is very basic concept, which you must understand. That's why when we study the concepts, we don't remember. We understand. That's why be mindful, not only during the exam, even while you learn the concepts. If you do that, that's what I say. We don't remember facts or we don't remember the text. We convert them into thoughts. We understand those thoughts. With the help of those thoughts, we answer the questions ourselves in the exam. It's not based on our memory we answer the questions. It's based on our sense we answer the questions. So first is correct. So first is correct means B can be eliminated. Otherwise, even look at others. Second, price of its complement increases. If the complement increases, obviously nothing to do with it, because complement means you must also understand the meanings of these words. Complement means, suppose if you want to do certain project, you require both the goods A and B. इसका कॉम्प्लीमेंट इंक्रीज हुआ तो भी ए को तो खरीदना पड़ेगा ना, बिकॉज ए इज नॉट सब्सटीट्यूट ऑफ बी. बी भी चाहिए, ए भी चाहिए, सो इट हैज नो इम्पैक्ट. थर्ड देखिए, द गुड इज एन इंफीरियर गुड एंड इनकम ऑफ द कंज्यूमर्स इंक्रीजेस. See how silly it is. If the income of consumers increases, obviously they want to buy the better good. You see, earlier 10 साल पहले, even Maruti 800, इस तरह की छोटी छोटी गाड़ियां खरीदते थे लोग. अब क्या है, I don't mean to say Maruti is a small brand, but Maruti 800 was a simple car. Now, people are going for luxury cars. Why? Because their income is increasing, India is developing. So when the income of the consumers increases, they want to buy better good. Why they compromise and go for an inferior good? So if the income of the consumers increases, and if this good is an inferior good, then obviously, people will not buy it. Then the demand of this good will not increase. So third must be wrong. If you know this at least, which is very silly actually. So if you know the third is wrong, you can say option B is wrong, option C is wrong, option D is wrong. This is what? Who is deciding all these things? You are deciding yourself. That is what I mean to say. It's not that your memory which answers the questions in the exam. It is your common sense which answers the questions in the exam. And how to develop that common sense? When you learn the basics in such a way that you understand them instead of remembering them. Hope you understand. A is the answer. Very, very simple question. Even you see, its price falls. If the price falls, obviously, more people get the purchasing power or more people get the buying capability. So the demand increases. Increases or not, might increase. There is a chance that it can increase. So 4 is also correct. So second is wrong and third is wrong. So second is wrong because it has no relation to that. And third is quite opposite. So first and fourth, A is the answer. Such simple questions are coming in the exam, and we are going to the exam with lot of burden in our mind, and we are unable to answer such silly questions. We are not even scoring 50% of the maximum marks, and we are coming out and saying this is a difficult exam. How it is a difficult exam? If you read the statements carefully, how many questions you can answer? So every question almost, you can answer with the help of just basic knowledge and your common sense. That is what you must understand here. Take one more question asked in Civil Services 2017. See, बहुत एस्पिरेंट्स बोलते रहते हैं कि हर साल पेपर बदल रहा है. बदल नहीं रहा है. अगर आप एबिलिटीज को अच्छी तरह से समझेंगे, उसी एबिलिटीज के ऊपर क्वेश्चंस पूछा जा रहा है. द वे द क्वेश्चंस आर बीइंग आस्क्ड माइट बी चेंजिंग, बट द रिक्वायरमेंट ऑफ द पेपर सेटर इज द सेम. You see this question, in India, if a species of tortoise is declared protected under Schedule 1 of the Wildlife Protection Act 1972, what does it imply? See, you cannot find answers to such questions in any book. You have to decide an answer. अगर किसी species को, चाहे tortoise का species है या किसी और का, अगर Schedule 1 के अंडर लेके आया, अंडर वाइल्ड लाइफ प्रोटेक्शन एक्ट 1972, इसका क्या मतलब है? That is what he is asking. First understand the question, whether you know the answer or not. Now let us read the options. First option, it enjoys the same level of protection as the tiger. Let us read all the options first. Option B, it no longer exists in the wild. A few individuals are under captive protection and now it is impossible to prevent its extinction. See, if it is impossible to prevent its extinction and they are already extinct in the wild, no longer exist in the wild, then why to bring under Schedule 1? Already you are too late. Schedule 1 में इसलिए आते हैं, इसलिए लेके आते हैं, so that hunting of such species is, prohibited and all. This is such a basic thing. You all will understand this, when you study the basics of Wildlife Protection Act 1972 and what are Schedule 1, 2, 3, so on. So be that nonsense. See, it is endemic to a particular region of India. In fact, he gave the clue in option A itself. He is talking about tiger. You see, tiger is also under Schedule 1 of Wildlife Protection Act 1972. Is it endemic to any particular region of India? You find tiger everywhere in India, from down south to even, in North India. So it is not endemic to any particular region of India. That is not the reason why, the government bring any species under Schedule 1. If it is threatened, if the species need protection, then, it will be brought under Schedule 1 of Wildlife Protection Act 1972. In fact, tiger was the first species which was brought under this Schedule 1. That's why, in fact, this act was passed in 1972 to protect the tiger. First, the thought came was to protect the tiger. That's why, to protect it, some law is required, some act is required. Then Wildlife Protection Act 1972 was passed, and tiger was the first species which brought under Schedule 1. So, C is wrong. Now, obviously both B and C are correct, D is also wrong. So, it enjoys same level of protection as the tiger. Like, tiger, how it is protected, all Schedule 1 species will enjoy the same level of protection. See, it doesn't mean, यही देना चाहिए, अगले बार उसको बदल भी सकते हैं. But you must understand, out of the given, with our sense, by understanding each option, we decide the right answer. It is purely our basic knowledge plus our mindfulness, our common sense. This is what, if you can understand, you can answer many questions just like that. But instead of that, after reading the question, if you start recollecting the facts and if you start where I have read it, maybe it was in news, that's why it is asked. If you have so many such unnecessary thoughts into your mind instead of understanding what is given, then how will you answer? And you come out and say, it is a difficult exam, obviously. Very, very simple questions come in the exam, and every year the abilities that are being tested, whether it is 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21 or even 22, it is the same. Once we develop these abilities, we can answer all these questions ourselves. A is the answer here. Again, very simple question. Take one more question asked in Civil Services 2021. What was the exact constitutional status of India on 26 January 1950? A democratic republic, sovereign democratic republic, sovereign secular democratic republic. That means he's talking about the nature of the state. Though it is a fact, but certain facts are so important. How many times a question is being asked on the preamble. In fact, on the same thing, you must know what is the source of preamble. We, the people of India, what is the nature of state? Sovereign, democratic republic at the time of making. बाद में secular and socialist terms were added by the 42nd Amendment. What are the commitments mentioned in the preamble, or what are the objectives of the preamble? And when it was adopted, these four things are so basics, one must know. And you won't believe how many times questions were asked on these things. More than 10 times if you include other exams also, like state exams, CDS, NDA kind of exams. So even if you do not remember, you know that out of these five, like the 5 words, sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, republic. Out of these 5, 3 were there before and 2 were added by the 42nd Amendment. Then also if you see democratic republic, sovereign democratic republic, sovereign democratic republic, sovereign secular democratic republic, sovereign socialist secular democratic republic. How silly it is on 26 January 1950 at the time of adaptation. Only Three things were there, and only in one option it is given. If he wants to make this question difficult, instead of sovereign democratic republic, he must have given secular democratic republic, or socialist democratic republic, or sovereign secular republic. Like that, also he can confuse. Even he is so liberal, he is so kind, and he is giving such simple questions, and we are concluding that this is a difficult exam which is meaningless. Otherwise, why sovereign was taken at the time of making the constitution? Because somebody has to sign on the preamble and on the whole document of the constitution after making it. Because we are adopting, that means it has to be signed, it has to be accepted. Who will do that? Is it the British? Obviously no. We have to do it. That means first we have to declare ourselves sovereign. That's why the word is included in the preamble. And even socialist, secular, they also came into discussion whether to include or not. But they were rejected by the Constituent Assembly because many features of the Constitution are socialist in nature. Many features of the Constitutions are secular in nature. Then why again to mention these words in the preamble to make it lengthy? So they dropped it. That's why, they were later, by 42nd Amendment, they were added. Hope you are understanding. This is such a basic thing. And democratic, yes, we, the people of India, at every stage, the members or the representatives are from people. And republic, yes, the head of the state, the president of India is directly or indirectly elected. Such a basic questions are coming. I mean, such basic questions, simple questions are coming in the exam, and still the feeling that, it is a difficult exam is not going. When questions are simple, how the exam can be difficult? And moreover, the cutoff, if you look, it is not 150 out of 200. It is not even nowadays 100 out of 200. In 2021, the cutoff, in prelims for general category was only 87.5 out of 200 marks. What is this? 87.5 means less than 44%. If you score 44% in your class 10th or class 11th, it is just pass mark, not even first division, not even second division. घर पे डांट मिल रहा है, इतना स्कोर लेके आएंगे तो, and इतना स्कोर यहाँ लेके आएंगे तो एकदम क्लियर हो रहा है, and we are unable to clear even in such case because we are going in a wrong way. Hope you are understanding this. So B the answer. Take one more question asked in Civil Services 2021. What is blue carbon? See, these things, you can easily understand. Blue means ocean, green means forest. Based on that, so many questions like blue carbon, blue economy, green energy, green economy, green carbon, green technology, even clean technology. These are all the basic terms. Not only these, what is social capital, human capital, natural capital. These are such basic things which you have to answer by seeing the options, and you must have a broad idea about them. It's not to mug up or read somewhere. So carbon captured by oceans and coastal ecosystems. Making sense? Carbon sequestrated in forest biomass and agricultural soils. Forest में blue क्यों आया है फिर? Blue means something related to oceans. Carbon contained in petroleum and natural gas. Carbon present in the atmosphere. How silly it is. Minimum common sense when we use while reading, क्योंकि हम क्वेश्चन जब पढ़ते वक्त डरते डरते पढ़ते हैं. क्या पूछा है, ये क्या है, कहां से दिया होगा, ये सारे थॉट्स हटाओ. सिर्फ अंडरस्टैंड द मीनिंग एंड लिबरली यू यूज योर थिंग. दैट मीन्स बी माइंडफुल एंड यू गेट द आंसर्स. मेनी क्वेश्चंस आर सो सिंपल इन नेचर, बट हमारा डर है जो IAS एग्जाम का क्वेश्चन है ये, सो ये डिफिकल्ट होगा, इसमें कुछ होगा. ये थॉट को अगर हम रोक नहीं पाएंगे तो वो सिली क्वेश्चंस ओनली एग्जाम हॉल में डिफिकल्ट दिखने लग जाते हैं. होप यू अंडरस्टैंड. सच ए सिंपल क्वेश्चन, ये इज द आंसर. Take one more question asked in Civil Services 2022. Consider the following communication technologies: closed circuit television, radio frequency identification, wireless local area network. Which of the above are considered short range devices or technologies? Short range. Closed circuit television, short range, no need of any explanation. Radio frequency identification, RFID, उसके सामने रखेंगे तभी तो कम्युनिकेट करेगा ना। इसके बारे में क्या बेसिक से सुना भी होगा तो आप समझ सकते हैं। अगर if they are long range, for example, using radio frequency identification only, many things like for example, Wi-Fi use करके हम कार्ड पेमेंट करते हैं, means near field technology बोलो, whatever the way, these are all examples of RF identification is an example of that near field. उसके सामने लेके जाएंगे तभी करेंगे ना। सपोज आईडी कार्ड एंटर करना है, ऐसा नहीं 100 मीटर पहले ही या किलोमीटर पहले ही ये ओपन हो जाएगा। ऐसा नहीं आपने कहीं पेट्रोल बंक में पेट्रोल डलवाया और आपने कार्ड दिया और बोला वाईफाई यूज करो, उसके सामने रखेंगे तभी होगा ना। जो आपका जेब में होगा तभी ही आपका चार्ज डिडक्ट हो गया तो ये तो नुकसान है। Hope you understand. These are all near field technologies, short range technologies, wireless local area network, LAN, local area network, MAN, WAN, all these things, very basic things. So local area network नाम पे ही है का मतलब short range technology है. So all are short range technologies. He's not asking anything about them. He just checking. Have you heard of these things? इसका ऐसा भी नहीं ना ये पहले बार आया है ऐसा क्वेश्चन, कितने बार हर साल, कभी कभी तो मिस हो सकता है, अदरवाइज 3 साल में तो 2 बार आ ही रहा है ना सिमिलर टाइप ऑफ क्वेश्चंस। स्टिल इफ यू कैन नॉट अंडरस्टैंड देम, स्टिल इफ यू डू नॉट just go through the basics of it, then whose fault is this? Is that very, very simple question if you understand. D the answer. In this question, I have shown in another commandment also, a question asked in civil services 2020. This was already asked. In fact, इससे भी वे बहुत simple सा question था जो पिछले अभी सॉल्व किया हमने. With reference to visible light communication technology, which of the following statements are correct? VLC, I have already done that, that's why I am going fast. VLC uses electromagnetic spectrum wavelength 375 to 780 nanometer. ये पढ़ के ही पैनिक हो जाते हैं बहुत एस्पिरेंट, बहुत बच्चे, that ये क्या है यार, बहुत डेप्थ में पूछा, 375 to 780 nanometer हाई या नहीं, मुझे याद नहीं है तो स्किप करेगा। ऐसा नहीं, बी माइंडफुल, you do not understand this, simply leave it. Go to the second statement. VLC is known as long range optical wireless communication. VLC नाम से ही पता लग रहा है, visible light communication. Visible light, अरे यार एक दीवार भी सामने होता है तो ये लाइट दूसरे कमरे में नहीं जाता है। How it will be long range optical wireless communication? Second is wrong. Even if you know that, you can say A is wrong, B is wrong and D is wrong. C is the answer. Such a silly question. That is the way, have you heard of these various technologies? Of course, these are all very basics. Like when you talk about optical wireless communications, which are evolving, if you just know visible light communication, light fidelity, Li-Fi, free space optical communication, FSO, when you understand these basics, if you need not go to the technology, how they are being developed and all, just have you heard of them? If you know that, you can answer all these things. Visible light cannot even penetrate through walls. How it can be long range optical wireless communication? So that simple it is. Hope you are understanding. Otherwise, VLC can transmit large amounts of data faster than Bluetooth. That's why this is an upcoming technology, and Li-Fi, if it comes, how fast, 100 Gbps, and what all we are expecting. VLC has no electromagnetic interference. Obviously, radio frequency interference hota hai. This is free from that interference. Very basics, and of course it uses wavelengths 375 to 780 nanometer. But he is not expecting you to know this. It is only आपको डराने के लिए। असली silly statement जो आपसे चेक करना चाहता है वे तो छुपाया है, तो in the form of second statement उसको ढूंढो। जो easy and weak statement है उसको पकड़ो और आंसर मिल जाता है आपको। This is the game. Understand it, my dear friend. Hope you understand this. We have solved this question earlier as well. See the answer. Take this question. If you are not mindful in the exam, किस तरह की गलतियां होता है 6-7 क्वेश्चंस, लेट अस से 6 क्वेश्चंस विच आर वेरी सिंपल, बट आप एग्जाम हॉल में उसको आइडेंटिफाई नहीं कर पाओगे तो स्किप करोगे, तो 12 मार्क्स मिलना था, 2 मार्क्स पर क्वेश्चन, यू नो, सो ये मिलेगा नहीं, सो यू आर लूजिंग 12 मार्क्स। सिमिलरली 6-7 क्वेश्चन ऐसा होता है, आई तो बहुत सिंपल है, बट यू नो सिंस यू आर नॉट माइंडफुल ड्यूरिंग द एग्जाम, you are worried, or so many thoughts and so much of knowledge in your mind is troubling you, so instead of doing correctly, that means instead of getting 12 marks, what you are doing, you may interpret it incorrectly and you may go for the wrong option. So instead of getting 12, you get 1/3 negative, so you get -4, right? So total plus 12 के जगह you are getting -4, that means 16 marks का फर्क है, तो 16 marks you are losing. So total 12 you are losing by not attempting 6 simple questions, 16 you are losing by attempting 6 simple questions wrongly, incorrectly. So total 28 marks you are losing, and the if you lose 28 marks, what happened? Instead of getting 98, you land up at 70. Cut off 87.5 in case of 2021 एग्जाम. सो बहुत मार्जिन से क्लियर करने वाला बहुत मार्जिन से मिस कर दिया. सिंपली 6 क्वेश्चन स्ट्राइक नहीं हुआ एग्जाम हॉल में, सिंपली 6 क्वेश्चन गलत करके आया. फॉर एग्जाम्पल यू टेक दिस क्वेश्चन, among the following which one is the least water efficient crop? जैसा वाटर एफिशिएंट देखा, वाटर एफिशिएंट मींस कम पानी को यूज करे, तो उनको ऐसा देखते देखते मे बी पर्ल मिलेट हिट कर दिया होगा. पर्ल मिलेट, दीज आर ऑल मिलेट्स, दे डू नॉट रिक्वायर वाटर. ये रेन शैडो रीजन्स होता है जहां पानी बहुत कम होता है, वहां ग्रो कर सकते हैं. ऑफ कोर्स रेड ग्राम आल्सो, सनफ्लावर आल्सो, दे आल्सो रिक्वायर वेरी लेस वाटर. सो ऑब्वियसली इनमें से कोई तो कोई चीज पकड़ेगा फटाफट, और कंफ्यूज हो सकता है, या 3 दे दिया, तीनों तो का वाटर एफिशिएंट ही है, सो 3 में मैं कौन सी बात करूं, तो कोई चीज नहीं है, तो इसलिए स्किप भी कर सकते हैं कुछ बच्चे. स्किप भी करोगे 2 मार्क्स का फर्क है. अटेम्प्ट भी, रॉन्ग अटेम्प्ट भी करोगे तो इंस्टेड ऑफ गेटिंग +2 यू गेट नेगेटिव मार्क्स. ही इज आस्किंग लीस्ट वाटर एफिशिएंट, दैट मीन्स वाटर you see how it confuses. अब आपको बहुत सिंपल लगेगा because now you are with free mind, but in the exam hall you are not going to be with free mind because so many things are moving in your head, so you misinterpret it. That's why if you are mindful, calm, composed, then you can very easily understand. Water efficient मीन्स वाटर को बहुत बचा है. लीस्ट वाटर एफिशिएंट, यार शुगर केन को तो पानी चाहिए, सो लीस्ट वाटर एफिशिएंट आउट ऑफ द गिवन इज शुगर केन. सच ए सिंपल क्वेश्चन. एनीबडी हु हैज गॉन थ्रू द एग्रीकल्चर, लाइक राइस नीड वाटर कंपेयर टू व्हीट एंड बार्ले, टी नीड लॉट ऑफ वाटर, शुगर केन नीड वाटर, आई मीन रिलेटिवली लेस कंपेयर टू राइस, कंपेयर टू टी को बहुत ज्यादा चाहिए, सब आप जानते हैं. कहा 200 सेंटीमीटर से ज्यादा रेनफॉल चाहिए. दैट्स व्हाई इंस्टेड ऑफ रिमेंबरिंग, इफ यू वुड हैव मेड इट इनटू ए थॉट, if you would have understood the concept, if you imagine it while learning, if you are mindful, instead of gathering facts, you see how many questions they are just being asked based on the basics only. He is not trying to trouble the candidates, but we are being troubled by our own mindset. Try to understand this. So here is the answer. Your accuracy also go up. Why 90 attempt, out of them 60 correct, 30 incorrect? इनकरेक्ट तब होगा बाय मिस्टेक, इनकरेक्ट होना चाहिए. ये तो 1 या 2 बार मिस्टेक करेंगे, 60 करेक्ट होगा तो 30 इनकरेक्ट, 90 में 30 इनकरेक्ट, हर तीसरा में इनकरेक्ट, हर 3 डिसीजन लोगे एक स्टूपिड डिसीजन क्यों लेते हम? You attempt 60 or 65, out of them 5 wrong. This is the way, you should improve your accuracy. And when will it happen? If you are mindful while learning, if you are mindful while executing during the exam. And it has to be practiced, it has to be learned, and it has to be understood and practiced. But we are not enhancing the skill. We are only gathering information by reading books. That is the flaw. in the preparation of most of the aspirants. I would like to take another question, just to sometimes, questions, some of the options look very close, but still if you are mindful how easily you can answer. A question asked in Civil Services 2022. If a particular area is brought under the 5th schedule of the Constitution of India, you all know 5th schedule talk about scheduled areas, 6th schedule talk about tribal areas. कितने बार इस पे क्वेश्चंस आए हैं, जस्ट इसी पे क्वेश्चन आया है, शेड्यूल्ड एरियाज एंड ट्राइबल एरियाज आर डिस्कस्ड इन विच शेड्यूल, इसी पे 3-4 बार क्वेश्चन आया है. इतना इंपॉर्टेंट कंसेप्ट, बेसिक कंसेप्ट, इवन द क्वेश्चन इज नॉट गोइंग इन डेप्थ, वेरी बेसिक, ऊपर ऊपर से पूछा जा रहा है. Now, which of the following statement best reflects the consequence of it? अगर कोई एरिया 5th शेड्यूल के अंडर लेके आता है, what is the consequence of it? Let us see the options. There are many consequences. क्यों लेके आता है? To protect the rights or to protect those tribes, who are living in those areas, from the exploitation. इसलिए लेके आते हैं. Now you see option A. This would prevent the transfer of land of tribal people to non-tribal people. Yes, making sense. Obviously, you cannot buy land in those areas. If you want to live in those areas, it is not possible. I mean, live in the sense permanent home means by buying it. You means non-tribal, I mean, who are from outside. So, A is wrong. A is correct. A is making sense. B dekhe, this would create a local self-governing body in that area. Almost close. So, I keep it aside. Go to C. This would convert that area into a union territory. You see how nonsense it is. If anyone who study the basics can understand, to convert area into a union territory, why to bring that area under 5th schedule? यूनियन यूनियन टेरिटरी बनाना है तो बनाओ, जैसे JNK को तो बनाया है, तो उसके लिए 5th शेड्यूल में लाने का क्या जरूरत है? Directly under the control of central government. So it has no meaning. See, I am not here to explain the concept. Otherwise, this is such a silly statement. Everyone who prepares for this exam, very basic, below average student can understand this. If some of you are not understanding, you need not bother about that, because maybe you might have not yet started the preparation. Once you go through the basics of this preparation, you also can understand this very easily. D. The state having such areas would be declared a special category state. See, special category state is declared for some other reasons, to encourage the backwardness or something. Now, only northeastern states can have this and other states cannot get, and something was going on, but it has nothing to do with it, to declare a state as a special category state under Article 371, it can be done. For that, no need to bring that under 5th schedule. It is also meaningless statement. If anyone, who follow the basics, who understand the basics, can understand this. But if you see option A and B closely, B dekhe, this would create a local self-governing body in that area. Generally, if it comes under 6th schedule, which talks about tribal areas, then, there are 4 states, Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and Mizoram. The governors of these 4 states, they are empowered to declare some tribal dominated districts or areas of those states as autonomous districts. That means, they are self-governing. But not under 5th schedule. 5th schedule में क्या होता है? There will be a tribal advisory council, but it is not self-governing. This tribal advisory council can advise the governor, and based on the advice of the council, governor may take some steps, but it is not self-governing body. Whoever understands 5th, and that's why when you prepare, if you question yourself, if you are mindful, because it is not in depth. What is 5th schedule? What are scheduled areas? What is the purpose of bringing an area under the 5th schedule? Similarly, what is the 6th schedule? What are tribal areas? What is the purpose of this? How the 5th scheduled areas are governed and how the 6th scheduled areas are governed? At least if you know this much basic, you can answer this question. Many questions are of this nature, but it is a difficult question. Even, many questions are not even difficult now. They are not of this much difficulty. Even the difficult questions are simple if you prepare, if you stick to the basics, And if you understand them carefully, they are very simple. But we are not understanding the basics properly, and we are running behind lot of information, gathering that, and reading, mugging up all that information, facts, etc., etc. And in the exam hall, we are struggling to answer these basic questions. This is all what you must realize if you really want to crack this exam. So the answer here is option A. I would like to take another question asked in Civil Services 2022. According to Kautilya's Arthashastra, which of the following are correct? See, who read Kautilya's Arthashastra and you know everything? A person could be a slave as a result of a judicial punishment. Very generally given, person could be a slave as a result of a judicial punishment. Second देखिए, if a female slave bore her master a son, she was legally free. Third, if a son born to a female slave was fathered by her master, the son was entitled to the legal status of the master's son. If you see this, very difficult question. Who know all these things? इतना डेप्थ में जाके अर्थशास्त्र में सारे जो मेंशन किए सारे काउंट पढ़ के आएगा. He is also not expecting that from you. You understand, my dear friend, we have discussed this in one of the video. Understand the nature of the UPSC exam. I told you how a wrong statement can be made. Suppose I say Chandragupta Maurya, he take head bath on his birthday. Suppose if you find this statement somewhere. How can you say this is wrong? You tell me. You see, either he must have read this statement somewhere, maybe mentioned in Arthashastra or anywhere, maybe on auspicious occasions like birthdays, the king himself take head bath, something is written, then he must have picked it. Otherwise, why will he pick such statement? You see, even to make a wrong statement, the paper setter needs a correct statement. If he knows a correct statement, by changing it somehow, he can make a wrong statement. By negating that or by taking something else, then he can make a wrong statement. In detail, I have explained about this in the video, understand the nature of UPSC exam. So I am not going again into that. So such statements, if it has to be wrong, for example, then what should be correct, you tell me? Chandragupta Maurya will not take head bath on his birthday. Agar if he won't take head bath, why somewhere it will be mentioned, you tell me? Hope you are understanding it. Or he only take bath, not head bath. ऐसा कहीं लिखा होता है क्या? ऐसा statement exist होता है क्या? So make no sense. So such statements are generally correct. You see, a person could be a slave as a result of a judicial punishment. Suppose if this statement is wrong, then what could be the right statement? A person cannot be a slave as a judicial punishment. If he cannot be a slave as a judicial punishment, then why it will be mentioned somewhere. Hope you understand. Or a person could be a slave only by birth. Even if it is written something, the paper setter will not take the liberty, since it is written only by birth. That means बर्थ के अलावा कुछ भी मैं ऐड करूं ये गलत हो जाएगा, तो मैं ऐड करूंगा वैसा जुडिशियल पनिशमेंट. ही वोंट गेट इवन दैट आइडिया, जुडिशियल पनिशमेंट ऐड करूं, उतना भी ये सोचेगा नहीं. दैट इज नॉट द वे टू मेक ए रॉन्ग स्टेटमेंट. रॉन्ग स्टेटमेंट जनरली इन सच केसेस, बिकॉज इट इज नॉट एनी नंबर में होगा तो एक नंबर. सपोज इलेक्शन कमीशन हैज 3 कमिश्नर्स, नाउ 3 के जगह 5 बदल दो, ऐसा तो चेंज कर सकते हैं. बट नॉट दैट इस तरह की जनरल स्टेटमेंट में मैं चेंज करके कुछ और नया डाल के गलत बनाओ, ऐसा नहीं करेगा. आई हैव एक्सप्लेन दिस इन डिटेल. सो दिस काइंड ऑफ स्टेटमेंट्स आर जनरली ट्रू. सो ही मस्ट हैव सीन इट समवेयर, सो ही पिक्ड इट एज इट इज. इसको उल्टा करना, इस स्टेटमेंट को अगर ये एग्जिस्ट नहीं करता है तो गलत बना के देना इज नॉट पॉसिबल फॉर द पेपर सेटर. If a female slave bore her master a son, she was legally free. अगर ये गलत होगा तो सही क्या होना चाहिए? Even if a female slave bore her master a son, still she has to be a slave. अगर ऐसा होगा तो ये क्यों मेंशन करेगा? मीन्स ये भी होगा तो भी स्लेव ही बनना पड़ेगा, ये भी होगा तो भी. ऐसे कितना केसेस लिखा होगा आप बताइए. I don't know how many of you are understanding. If you are not understanding, please go and watch the video, understand the nature of the UPSC exam. I have explained very clearly in that video. All such things. Similarly, third statement, if a son born to a female slave was fathered by her master, the son was entitled to the legal status of the master's son. You know, these statements generally, वैसा as it is copy pasted statements है. क्योंकि अगर स्टेटमेंट गलत होना है तो उसका सही स्टेटमेंट बनाना पॉसिबल ही नहीं हो पा रहा है. So these are all correct. So answer is option D. Hope you understand this. If we are mindful while learning as well as while answering the paper during the exam, then you know many questions which otherwise looks difficult, they are simple. 18 to 20 questions which many sincere candidates cannot attempt assuming they are difficult or attempt wrong by misinterpreting, you can do correctly. And there you can show your mark and there you can get the edge compared to the other aspirants. Just be mindful. This is the master key in clearing this exam. So this is all about the sixth commandment. Mindfulness is the master key. Hope you have understood and enjoyed this. Thank you for watching this video.